Buy. Get the next new big best thing here and now. Don't wait, yeah. Rustle them jimmies and pre-order the bonus deluxe gold ultra titanium platinum diamond uranium edition so you can get that premium cosmetic hat that no one else can get, except all the other people that pre-ordered. Then start up the game on release just to find that it's littered with bugs, graphical glitches, poorly optimized performance, and faces that are tired.
Sorry, my face is tired.
So this is where patient gaming comes in, my friends. Simple philosophy that I adhere to, for the most part. But for those not familiar with my channel, patient gaming is simply waiting a couple months to even years before purchasing a game after release. This includes early access releases. This allows for the precious commodity us olden gamers value so highly. Time. Time for the game to be patched, time for the game to be optimized, time for the game and all its DLCs and or expansions to go on sale. Time for things to just improve, yeah! That's right, my gaming friends. Patient gaming is generally a winning philosophy, and it's absolutely a boon in the current year of our Lord Gaben, 2026. So join me, Jarek Defiler the Patient Gamer, as I take a quick look into some recent examples as to why it pays to be a patient gamer breakdown. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another patient gaming video from yours truly, Jarek Defiler. I've been a patient gamer since I got burned with the Diablo 3 release way back in the Mesolithic era. It was the last game I ever pre-ordered, and I stood outside of GameStop in Pasadena at 1 in the morning to receive my collector's edition with my poster and all the bells and whistles, only to get home and not be able to log in to play with my crew who lived hundreds of miles away. Then when we finally were able to play, we dropped the game in less than a month. I wouldn't go so far as to say Diablo 3 was or is a bad game, but I would argue it's a bad Diablo game. My heart was forever broken, my balls forever squeezed, and my wallet forever out $110. Lesson learned, lesson said. Since then, I have never bought a game on release, although I have bought some earlier than others. So I'd like to point out a couple examples that I think show why patient gaming can be a boon, but also a detriment at times. For starters, back on March 19th, gamers were introduced to the rather ambitious and super hyped Crimson Desert. Pearl Abyss's take of a single-player action RPG in an MMO setting. What do I mean by this? Well, for those who don't know, Crimson Desert was originally developed as an MMORPG that Pearl Abyss then decided to transition into a single-player RPG. This was unheard of for the most part, but it allowed for one of the most massive gaming worlds a single-player game could muster. And them poor MMO fans though, they just can't catch a break. I'm sorry guys. Anywho, I have to admit that I was a bit hyped myself for Crimson Desert as it looked like it was right up my alley. But I remained strong like bull and invoked patient gamer rights and just waited. Sure enough, within a day or two of release, the reviews started coming in and it wasn't looking good. When I say reviews, I mean player reviews, not game journalist reviews because they don't matter and no one gives a crap about their opinion anyways, as they should. So on Steam at least, Crimson Desert ended up having mixed reviews due to some questionable design decisions such as a convoluted UI, horrible control scheme, and confusing illogical processes that require the player to be privy to information the game simply did not provide. But at least it ran well because that's one thing everyone seemed to praise, its performance. Either way, the game had issues, and people were dragging it through the mud, and rightfully so. As such, I simply sat back in my chair and raised my eyebrows a bit thinking, yep, these things happen, while I continued playing my first ever Fallout 4 run. And be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video and hit that notification bell so you can be notified on when that video will be coming out. But yeah, I've seen it 1,000 times. Big game big game hype, big game release, big game have big problems, big game get spanking from big community. Big community never learn and just buy next big game. Still, Crimson Desert was not shielded from the ire of gamers. But then something rather remarkable happened. Pearl Abyss listened. They communicated, and within a week, they dropped a fairly significant patch that actually fixed a lot of issues people were having with the game. Fast forward to the recording of this video, and Pearl Abyss has implemented 14 patches that really cleaned up the game nicely, by all accounts anyways, as I still have yet to get it. That said, from what I've seen from some trusted content creators, the game is in a completely different state that is significantly better than it was on release. Players seem to agree, as the Steam reviews have now skyrocketed to very positive. Bravo, Pearl Abyss. Goes to show that if you listen to and respect your player base, you will get ahead in this industry. So as it is now, I wouldn't have a problem purchasing the game and giving it a whirl. If I were to have bought the game on release, however, who knows? I likely would have become frustrated with it and dropped it within the first 6 hours or so. But now I don't think I'd have that problem. So yeah, it pays to be a patient gamer. But now let's look at an example where I waited a bit to purchase a game, but it was more to my detriment as I should have either waited much longer or perhaps bought it on release for a bit more fun. Helldivers 2 came out on February 8th, 2024, and I got it for my little brother and I a bit over a month after its release. I felt that was long enough. It wasn't, but for more ways than one. I actually think we may have had more fun playing on release than waiting, as I was just bored out of my mind with it in the long run. When we got into the game, everyone was higher level than us, so every match we joined, the other players would simply plow through all the enemies at light speed in order to get through the match as fast as possible so they could start up the next match as fast as possible in order to plow through that one as fast as possible, and so on and so forth. The reasoning behind this is that they simply were trying to unlock everything in the battle pass by farming rather than actually just, enjoying the game for entertainment's sake. As such, we were left behind. We tried to spice things up by roleplaying, acting like noob privates in a war, asking veterans for help, but by that point everyone was over it and no one would engage. We were old men expecting a Slipknot concert, only to arrive to a K-pop scene. Completely out of our depth. We tried to solo with just the two of us, and I was bored out of my mind. I found the game to be repetitive and tedious. Accidentally getting blown up by your teammate is funny the first 50,000 times, but then it starts to grate on your nerves. Wouldn't say it was a bad game, just wasn't for us, so after a while we dropped it and never looked back. Fast forward to today, and Helldivers 2 now has mixed reviews on Steam, mainly blaming the design team for poor decisions regarding balance and lack of fixing current issues, while implementing new content that exacerbates said issues. So if I were to have waited longer, really stuck to my patient gaming guns, I would have known all this by now. But hey, you can't win them all, and again, maybe if I would have bought it on release, it would have been more fun in that moment, as everyone would have been a noob like us and we could have all joined the fray together. I guess the story is, when it comes to multiplayer titles that involves a competitive scene or progression, waiting can be a bit of a detriment at times. But still, it may be worth it in the end. Just look at how Overwatch turned out. Yikes. So what's the point of this video? Just showing that you as a player can get great value out of your time by just waiting. There's plenty of other games out there to try in the meantime. You don't always have to rush and get the next big thing. I highly suspect you all have a backlog the size of Texas regardless, so why not just be a bit more patient, It'll help yourself not be burned by wasting your time and money, and it will help the industry by teaching studios that they can't just release a game in a crappy, poorly optimized state and then try and fix it later. And for the love of all things yoga pants, please don't pre-order games. Little to nothing good can come of it, as you are simply rewarding a studio for a product you know little to nothing about. Unless it's, maybe Larian Studios or something, then you can pre-order all their games. Anyways, rant over. Just thinking out loud for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed and got some value out of it. Moral of the rant, be patient, do your due diligence, vote with your wallet, and maybe over time we can turn this train around and get big studios to thinking on why they're losing so many sales on crappy titles. This has been Jarek Defiler, just being patient. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to help out this little old channel of mine. You all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are. And just chill, know what I mean? Yeah, break down. See you guys in the next video.